Let me recognize my friend Brad Wenstrup from Ohio. He's a past Army Reserve officer. Thank you, sir, for your service. He's a doctor. He serves with me on the House Intelligence Committee, as well as he serves on the Armed Services Committee. Dr. Wenstrup.
Well, thank you, Congressman Stewart. Thank you for your service to our nation in the Air Force and your service to our nation here in Congress. And I thank you for organizing this event here on the floor tonight. As my colleagues have highlighted this evening on the eve of Prime Minister Netanyahu's address to Congress, we stand with Israel and the Israeli people, shoulder to shoulder, in the face of growing Islamic extremism. You know, the United States was the first country to recognize Israel upon its founding in the years after World War II. Madam Speaker, it took us just 11 minutes to recognize the new nation, created along the Mediterranean in the land of Judea. Time and time again since then, Israel has been besieged, but our relationship has always stood firm. And that's because our friendship is built on the shared values of democracy, free enterprise, respect for life, and a commitment to a lasting peace. Madam Speaker, I contend that when your very existence is in question and your neighbors vow to wipe you off the map, it's more than have a committed ally. It's necessary for your very survival. And whether by the threat of terror tunnels and rocket barrages or the looming nuclear aspirations of Iran, now is not the time to turn away from our friend Israel. In these challenging times, I'm disappointed when I hear disparaging comments coming from our own government directed towards our friends in Israel. I'm disappointed when an anonymous senior Obama administration official describes the Prime Minister with words I can't repeat in this chamber. I'm disappointed when National Security Advisor Susan Rice calls the visit of our ally destructive. I'm disappointed when my colleagues publicly turn their back on our ally and boycott the Prime Minister's speech. To them I say, and I quote, "Let us make it clear that we will never turn our backs on our steadfast friends in Israel, whose adherence to the democratic way must be admired by all friends of freedom," end quote. These aren't my words, Madam Speaker. These are the words of John F. Kennedy 56 years ago, and they still ring true today. In stark contrast to the resolute JFK, the President is asking Congress to stand silently to the side in his quest to negotiate with Iran. I cannot do that. In these perilous times, we can't afford silence. Iran's unhindered quest for nuclear weapons and support for global terrorism threatens the stability of the Middle East, the security of our allies in the region, and the very existence of Israel. Just last week, Iran conducted military drills to sink a replica Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. And while it made for some great propaganda film, I can't say it builds my confidence in Iran as negotiating in good faith. Blacks shouldn't be rewarded with further appeasement. Madam Speaker, I dare say that this administration is more willing to negotiate with Iran than with Congress. If this administration was as firm in negotiations with Iran as with veto threats, we might actually stop Iran from getting the bomb. We have a close ally in a dangerous region of the world and must stand strong. We are seeing too vividly the threat of radical Islam as its depravity sweeps across the Middle East. There is no more urgent of a time than right now for Congress to unequivocally stand with Israel. Tomorrow, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be in this very chamber speaking to Congress. The subject matter is timely, the threat of a nuclear Iran. In recent years, I've heard the leaders of the Ukraine and South Korea address Congress, and we'll soon hear from leaders of Afghanistan and the Vatican as well. And I understand that President Ashraf Ghani of Afghanistan was invited in exactly the same manner as Prime Minister Netanyahu. It's curious as to why we don't hear the same roar of disapproval. We know that a nuclear Iran would tilt the balance of power across the region and across the world, throwing weight to the ill-intentioned and the evil terrorist actors. This is a message that bears repeating again and again, whether by me or by the Prime Minister of Israel or by anybody who recognizes the threat. As steadfast allies in our commitment to freedom, democracy, and peace, I welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu tomorrow. And I yield back my time.